everyone, my name is Holly, and we're back for another episode of Should You Read It, a series where I give you my pros and cons and spoiler-free first impressions on new book releases. Just a really quick disclaimer, I will never tell anyone not to read a book. These are just my opinions, and I will always encourage you to at least give it a try. Today we are talking about The First Sister by Lyndon A. Lewis. This book just came out this month. It's a space opera, and I do want to talk more about those two words. Sci-fi. That is very easy to navigate. In fact, I would actually consider this a really good beginner sci-fi, especially if you are new to the genre. If you love sci-fi and read it frequently, I don't think this is going to be genre busting for you, not something that's going to blow your mind, but it is worth talking about from a couple different angles, and I think the first thing to do is to approach it just specifically as a sci-fi. It's set in space, a few planets are mentioned here and there, some advanced tech. At the very beginning, you're presented with a whirlwind of unknown intensity as a character named the First Sister, who is a part of this religious group that people look up to in this world. They can't speak, they can't even write. They're forced to pleasure the subordinates, so please be cautious of that going into this. She is packing all of her things on a military spaceship, saying goodbye to the sisterhood because she believes she is leaving with the captain to live a life she's always dreamed of. Unfortunately, that does not end up happening. The second perspective we're following is named Leto, and he is actually part of the enemy army, and we're introduced to him as he's training children as punishment for failing a past mission, which definitely seeds into a lot of what happens later on in the story. His partner has gone missing and is given the mission to find them. Okay, so this is a book that feels so strong right out of the gate, but quickly the potential is lost amid the forceful amounts of romance and lack of depth to, well, anything. Really nothing in this book made me think that what I was reading was deep, and I know not every book has to be thought-provoking, but I definitely expected more from this, and I didn't even find it to be a space opera in any way, and to sell it as Red Rising, which is like leagues, and I mean leagues away from this book in terms of complexity and character definition, is an outright attack. The world barely branches out to other parts of the universe. You're told many places, you're told a lot of cultures and histories and different types of orders, religions, but I can name like 3 or 4 locations we actually get to visit, and that's just not space opera to me. The story is very linear, there's very few characters, which again helps with it being an easy sci-fi to follow, but if you're expecting Leviathan Wakes, Mass Effect, it's nothing like that. I think instead of promoting it as a sci-fi space opera, it should have been promoted as a sci-fi romance. So if you enjoy romance, you're going to like this. If you don't like romance, oh honey, it never leaves the room. It is a queer romance, I want to mention, but how the romance begins, I found it really out of left field. It develops so freaking quickly. It truly felt like, and this is just an example, page 40 they meet, and then page 42 they're in love. So I felt zero connection between them because there wasn't any feelings there to evolve. For me, this book does fall into the one perspective is far more interesting than the other category. And for me, that was The First Sister. I wish the book was only about her. I mean, she's the title of the book. Leto felt very out of place for me, but I understand he had to be there for the plot to move. But the potential for the First Sister character was totally lost. She's very helpless, she relies too much on side characters. In fact, their decisions reflect upon the plot, not hers. She's literally just there being moved around like a chess piece. A central plot does slowly emerge for her, but it felt like it was just spinning its wheels like with no traction. Nothing felt like it had purpose. I really don't think this is a sci-fi that brings anything new to the table. Besides the LGBTQ plus representation, which was great to see, and we need to see that more in literature, I really don't want to shit on this book because it's not a bad book, it isn't. It's competent and decent for the most part, systematically speaking. Some chapters give you a really good rush of adrenaline, but it has nothing at all to say. By the end of it, it left me feeling very shortchanged, and it's a sci-fi that scratches a very specific itch, and if you don't have that itch, it's kind of excruciating, which is probably why 50% of the way through the book, I got really tired of it. I just wanted more progression, more variation to the environments and characters. I can immensely appreciate the idea of the story, and when things do ramp up combat-wise, it was thrilling. Pacing and writing, all great. And maybe if it was written a few years ago, it'd be higher praised for me when I didn't realize I hated romance so much, but it lacked any kind of detail to be remembered. So that's it for another episode of Should You Read It? I wouldn't recommend this book based on its own merit. The flaws are just too great for me, but depending on how the sequel handles the story, I could potentially see myself encouraging readers to push past the very rocky start so they can enjoy what has the potential to possibly be a fair story. Now, I want to hear your opinions down below in the comments if you have read this book. This book did release earlier this month, so I want to know what you're feeling. Did you get a chance to read it early because I know the arc was on NetGalley for a while? What did you think? Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed because it helps me out so much. Go ahead and subscribe. I upload videos every single week. Follow me on Instagram at HollyHeartsBooks and on Twitter at HollyNiece. And until we meet again, happy reading.